If I handed you a book and asked you to read for 20 uninterrupted minutes, would that feel easy? A few years ago, most people wouldn't have thought twice about that question. Today, it's surprisingly difficult. Not because reading became harder, not because people became lazy, but because somewhere around page 3, something strange happens. Your eyes are still moving across the words, but your mind has already left the room. You suddenly remember an email you forgot to answer. You wonder if someone replied to your message. You think about checking the weather, looking something up, or grabbing your phone, even though it never made a sound. What's fascinating is that none of those thoughts appeared by accident. Your brain created them. And it wasn't trying to distract you. It was doing exactly what it has been trained to do. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your brain struggles to stay with one task, why focus feels harder than ever, and how a few small changes can begin reversing that trend. Because your attention didn't disappear, it adapted. Why focus feels different today. If you've searched for ways to improve focus, you've probably heard the same advice. Turn off notifications, delete social media, use the Pomodoro technique, meditate. Those ideas aren't wrong, but they all assume the same thing, that your brain already knows how to focus and just needs fewer distractions. What if the problem goes deeper than that? What if years of constant switching have quietly changed what your brain considers normal? Think about learning to drive. If someone spent 10 years driving through busy downtown traffic, constantly braking, turning, stopping, and reacting, then suddenly found themselves on a long, empty highway, they would probably feel restless. Not because highways are difficult, because their brain became used to constant change. Modern attention works in a similar way. This isn't really a story about driving, it's about adaptation. Your brain is constantly learning from whatever you repeatedly do. The problem is that many of us have unknowingly been training it to change attention every few seconds. Your brain didn't get worse, it changed its priorities. Here's something most people never think about. Why can someone watch 3 episodes of a TV show without getting distracted, but struggle to read 10 pages of a book? If the problem were simply a shorter attention span, both activities should feel equally difficult, but they don't. That's because your brain isn't asking, how long should I pay attention? It's asking, what deserves my attention right now? Imagine your attention as a company. Most people picture the CEO making every decision. But before anything reaches the CEO, there's a security guard standing at the entrance. The security guard has one job: notice anything unusual. For thousands of years, that system kept humans alive. A sudden movement in the bushes could be a predator. An unfamiliar sound might signal danger. Your brain evolved to notice change before anything else. Today, that same system is being activated hundreds of times a day. Every notification, every headline, every refresh, every suggested video, every email, every breaking news alert. They're all competing for the same thing, not your intelligence, your attention. The more often your brain practices noticing something new, the better it becomes at doing exactly that. And that's the first uncomfortable truth. Your brain is always improving at whatever you repeatedly ask it to do, even if that skill is making concentration harder. The skill you've been practicing without realizing it. Imagine going to the gym every day, but instead of gradually increasing the weight, you spend every workout lifting a 1-pound dumbbell. After a year, you'd become incredibly efficient at lifting 1 pound. But you wouldn't become stronger. Your attention works the same way. Every time you switch tabs after 30 seconds, check one notification, open another article before finishing the first, your brain records another repetition. It doesn't know you're just checking something quickly. It only notices the pattern. Start, stop, switch, repeat. Eventually, changing focus becomes easier than maintaining it. That's why many people say, I can't focus anymore. A more accurate statement would be, I've become extremely good at switching focus. Those are very different problems. One sounds permanent, the other sounds trainable. And that's encouraging, because what the brain practices, it can practice differently. But there's another problem that most people never notice. Even after you close the distracting app, the distraction doesn't completely disappear. Part of it comes back with you. The distraction that follows you. Imagine you're putting together a 1,000-piece puzzle. After 20 minutes, you're finally seeing the picture come together. Then someone interrupts you with a quick question. You answer. It only takes 15 seconds. When you return to the puzzle, something feels off. You know where you were, but you don't feel connected to it anymore. That's surprisingly close to what happens every time you interrupt yourself. Most people think interruptions only steal the time they take. A text costs 15 seconds. An email costs 1 minute. No big deal. But the real cost comes afterward. Your brain has to rebuild its train of thought. It has to remember what problem it was solving, what details mattered, what idea it was developing. That rebuilding process often takes much longer than the interruption itself. Psychologists call this attention residue. Part of your attention stays attached to the previous task, while another part tries to move forward. It's like trying to have one foot in two different rooms. That's why after answering a message, you often reread the same paragraph 2 or 3 times. Not because you're distracted, because your brain is still unpacking the previous task. The question isn't, can I answer this quickly? The better question is this worth restarting my thinking? That single question changes how you see interruptions, because the biggest cost isn't the interruption, it's the restart. Your brain has limited desk space. Imagine trying to build a model airplane on a tiny desk. Everything you need is already there. Glue, paint, instructions, small parts. Now imagine someone keeps placing random objects on the desk. Your phone, a grocery list, 3 unopened letters, a coffee mug. Nothing disappeared, but suddenly there's no room left to work. Your brain has a similar limitation. Scientists call it working memory. Think of it as your brain's mental desk. It's where today's thinking happens. Every sentence you write, every calculation you make, every decision you're processing. The problem is that this workspace is surprisingly small. Every unnecessary thought takes up space. Every interruption leaves something behind. Every unfinished decision crowds the desk a little more. Deep focus isn't about forcing your brain to work harder. It's about protecting the limited workspace you already have. And this explains something almost everyone has experienced. The hardest part of focusing isn't the middle. It's the beginning. Because that's when your brain is trying to clear the desk before it can actually begin working. Why the first 10 minutes feel so hard? Have you ever noticed something strange? The hardest part of deep work usually isn't minute 30. It isn't minute 60. It's minute 1. You sit down with every intention of focusing. Then suddenly everything feels more interesting than the task in front of you. You notice your phone. Your chair feels uncomfortable. You remember you should refill your water bottle. You wonder if you replied to that message. Most people interpret this as a lack of motivation, but that's usually not what's happening. Your brain is changing gears. Think about an airplane taking off. For most of the flight, the engines don't need maximum power, but during takeoff, they work the hardest. Your brain is surprisingly similar. When you begin mentally demanding work, your attention has to shift from reacting to everything around you to investing deeply in one thing. That transition feels uncomfortable, not because you're failing, because your brain hasn't settled yet. The mistake most people make is quitting during takeoff. They never reach cruising altitude. Instead, they restart the process over and over again. Every notification, every browser tab, every "I'll just check this quickly" returns them to the runway. Stop judging your focus too early. Here's a simple experiment. Tomorrow, choose one important task. Set a timer for 15 minutes. During those 15 minutes, don't ask yourself whether you're focused. Don't judge the quality of your work. Don't even worry about making great progress. Your only goal is to stay with the task. Most people are surprised by what happens around the 10 or 15-minute mark. Their thoughts become quieter. The urge to switch tasks becomes weaker. The work starts feeling easier. The task didn't change. Your brain did. Focus often isn't something you create. It's something you arrive at. But there's another habit that keeps people from ever reaching that state, and almost everyone mistakes it for productivity. Why being busy isn't the same as thinking. Imagine you're building a house. You lay a few bricks. Then you drive to another store to compare paint colors. You come back, lay 3 more bricks, then spend 15 minutes researching windows. After that, you watch a video about roof designs. By the end of the day, you've worked non-stop, but the house barely exists. Now, replace the house with your attention. This is how many people work. They aren't lazy. They're constantly busy, but they're building very little. The modern world rewards collecting information. Deep work rewards using information. Those are 2 completely different skills. Searching feels like progress. Think about the last time you needed to write something important. Maybe a report, a presentation, a script. You probably told yourself, I'll do a little research first. 1 article became 3. 3 became 10. Then YouTube suggested another video. Suddenly, an hour had passed. You had consumed a lot, but created very little. Why does this happen? Because searching feels productive. Every new fact gives your brain a small sense of progress. But collecting information isn't the same as producing something valuable. Imagine a chef spending 6 hours shopping for ingredients but never turning on the stove. At some point, preparation becomes procrastination. The internet makes this especially difficult because there's no natural finish line. There's always another article, another opinion, another tutorial, another expert. Your brain never receives a signal that it's time to stop collecting and start creating. Don't search and build at the same time. One of the biggest improvements I ever made wasn't learning to focus better. It was separating 2 different jobs, searching and building. When I'm researching, I only research. When I'm writing, I only write. If I realize I need another statistic or another source, I don't immediately stop. I write a quick note that says, find this later. Then I keep going. That one habit protects momentum. Because momentum is incredibly fragile. Once your thinking starts connecting, ideas begin flowing into one another. Interrupt that flow too often, and your brain has to rebuild it from scratch, again and again. Deep work isn't about never getting distracted. It's about staying with one mental job long enough for your thinking to become connected. Why your best ideas never show up when you chase them. Have you ever noticed where your best ideas usually appear? In the shower, during a walk, while washing dishes, driving home. Rarely while staring at a blinking cursor. That's because insight usually isn't created by consuming more information. It's created by connecting information you already have. Think about making tea. Once the tea bag is in the water, constantly replacing the water won't make the tea stronger. You have to let it sit. Your thoughts work the same way. They need uninterrupted time to connect. Every interruption resets that process. That's why many people spend an entire day working but never experience deep thinking. They never stayed with one idea long enough for it to develop. The 30-minute builder rule. Tomorrow, try one experiment. Choose one task that actually requires thinking, writing, studying, planning, designing. For 30 minutes, become a builder. No researching, no fact-checking, no just one quick search. If you discover something you need later, write it down and keep going. You'll probably feel uncomfortable at first. That's normal. Your brain has become used to solving every question immediately. Now you're teaching it patience. More importantly, you're teaching it to think before searching. And that single shift changes the quality of your work more than most productivity hacks ever will. Because deep focus doesn't come from finding more information. It comes from giving your existing thoughts enough time to grow. One question that changes everything. Tomorrow morning, before opening your laptop or unlocking your phone, ask yourself one question. What deserves the best version of my attention today? Notice I didn't ask, what's most urgent? Urgent and important aren't always the same thing. Answering routine emails needs your time. Scrolling the news needs your time. Paying bills needs your time. But writing, learning, solving problems, building a business, having an important conversation, those deserve your best attention. Protect those first. Everything else can come later. Because attention isn't unlimited. It's one of the few things you spend every day without ever getting it back. If there's one thing I hope you remember from this video, it's this. Your brain didn't suddenly forget how to focus. It simply became incredibly efficient at responding to constant change. The encouraging part is that the same brain can learn something different. Every uninterrupted reading session, every conversation where you stay fully present, every time you finish one meaningful task before switching to another, you're training your attention. Not through motivation, through repetition. Deep focus isn't something you're born with, it's something you practice. And like any skill, the quality of your practice determines the quality of your results. In the next episode of the Deep Focus series, we're going to explore something even more important. Why some people can enter deep focus in just a few minutes, while others struggle for hours, and the simple routine that prepares your brain for deep work before you even begin. If you found this video genuinely useful, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like. It helps more people discover videos like this. And if you want to understand your brain, improve your focus, and build a calmer, more disciplined mind, subscribe to Simple Ways of Life. I'll see you in the next one.